So what you can't see is that this branch, it literally goes like all the way up to the ceiling. So if I'm like reaching up and stuff, it's because I am putting these beautiful, you see them? Beautifully colored, decorated Easter eggs on this branch. Now, first off, it's been absolutely ages since I made a video, and I was just like, it's Easter break and I have time. So I'm away from my office and I have a minute. So I'm gonna multitask and I'm gonna just share with you my thoughts about Easter, and I'm gonna put together this Easter branch for the boys, for the kids. I do have to kind of show these off to you because Chris's aunt made them. Thank you, Auntie Joanna, you're the best. So they're really pretty. I don't know how she made them, maybe with like a paint pen or something. I'll have to ask her. But then these are actually my favorites, made by Branson. I actually have to ask him how he did it, but somehow he said it was with a paper towel. So anyway, they're very pretty. He also, Branson, who's in second grade, he also made this card. And it says, love you, if you can't read it. Like I said before, I have a minute to make a video, and it's Easter, Easter break, and I was thinking about all the things that I could talk about and reflect on, and my mind was just burring, like worrying and buzzing, and I just had so many ideas and things to talk about, and like partially started ideas that I just was like, ooh, slow it down, Laura, like take a break. So I actually went for a run. I only ran a mile on a treadmill. But I was like, you know, something's better than nothing. Get your heart rate up, find peace of mind. Anyway, so I did. So I feel a lot more refreshed and mentally energized. I was thinking about what my favorite story is in the New Testament, and happens to come from the Easter story. I'm not exactly sure when it takes place in the Easter story, and there's a bunch of different accounts. Some of them are a little bit, contradictory. So given that each book in the Bible, so Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, were all written by different people, you'll get different perspectives. So the story that I'm referring to is the story when the woman poured perfume on Jesus. It took place sometime during the Holy Week. And so basically the story goes that Jesus went to the house of Simon the leper. At least that's what it says in Mark and Matthew. And then in John it says that he was actually at his friend Lazarus's house, and that Martha and Mary were there, Lazarus' sisters, and Mary was the one who poured the perfume on him. So Jesus is sitting there, and this woman comes and pours perfume on him, and immediately his disciples, and in some accounts it's particularly Judas Iscariot, said they're like, wow, what a waste, like, and they start admonishing her and criticizing her actions, and saying like, wow, we could have sold that bottle of perfume for a lot of money and then given that money to the poor and so on. But then Jesus says, like, hold off. Like, he rebukes them or tells them off and says, actually, you will always have the poor with you, but you won't always have me here. And of course, he's foreshadowing, he's giving another indicator that he's going to die soon. And then he says, what this woman has done for me is amazing, and it's always going to be remembered. Wherever the gospel is preached, her story will be told. And I always find that really beautiful, because right now, as I'm telling the story, as we read it in our Bibles, that prophecy is becoming true. There's a couple of things that I've thought about with that story from the disciples' perspective, or from the people who were criticizing and critiquing. Like, technically, that was probably like the right thing, you know. Jesus constantly was talking about the poor and doing things for the needy and the least of these and all this. But in that moment, and in that moment, I don't know what they were thinking. Obviously, we can't go back in time and ask them what they were thinking, but it kind of almost seems like they were kind of jumping on the bandwagon and like, this is the right thing to do, when in actual fact it wasn't the right thing to do. Like, from the heart. It's easy to kind of critique or criticize somebody if you don't fully understand their actions, or if you think you understand, or you think you're right, and in order to keep yourself safe. I mean, I think sometimes we actually know deep in our hearts, like, this is what they're saying is actually right, and then we push that feeling down so that we can keep ourselves safe. Now going to the perspective of the woman, so it doesn't say what her name was, except in the one account it says it was Mary. She must have felt what was going on in Jesus's heart. Like, she must have known what he was going through. And she followed her heart, followed what she was feeling and hearing, and did this act of love for Jesus. She didn't try to argue or explain what she was doing. She didn't have like a big performance, like, and now I will come pour the perfume on Jesus. No, it was, she quietly came in and did this for him. And then when the disciples were saying, like, what a waste, it doesn't say that the woman came to her own defense. Jesus came to her defense and said, like, come on, guys. Like, she's doing this for me. She's doing it out of love to me. You always have the poor with you. So I find that very encouraging and very something I can really connect with, and what I can do now. And that is, if we truly feel something in our heart and want to do something for others, and it's really coming from a place of love and care and concern, compassion for others, and we listen to that voice despite whatever's going on around us, whatever people are saying, whatever people are doing, but to listen to that voice from God telling us what to do. It does not matter what people think. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter how they react to us. It also doesn't matter if they hurt us, because Jesus will come to our defense. And I just have always found that to be like a very encouraging and beautiful thought. And then I was also thinking how, it's starting to get a little bit trickier to hang these. Another part of this story is the symbolism of, so this woman, that was obviously a very expensive jar of perfume. I mean, sorry, it doesn't say how big or how small it was, because perfume is often kind of small, but she poured out every drop on Jesus' head, and she gave everything. And I read somewhere that it says, like, it would have taken a man half a year to earn wages in order to buy a bottle like that. So it was a lot. And then I was thinking, like, what is my equivalent of the perfume? And I think that is, I thought about it quite a bit, because so many, it's like material stuff, but when it comes down to it, I think that it's my life. And I have to give my life, my whole life to Christ. That's every drop, every bit of it. And I've always reflected on the thought that when you give everything to Jesus and go in complete faith to him, how freeing that is. Like, it's a paradox that you're completely committing to something, but you're being so completely freed. Like, by giving your life to Christ, you're more free than if you weren't, and you were just kind of doing your thing. I mean, being committed means then listening to his commands, but those commands, when you do them, are so freeing, and it gives you even more breadth and more experience. And there's so many times in my life when, I've given up something for faith, or because I love Jesus and because I want to do something for him, and the reward that comes back is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Like, for Chris and me, like, there have been times in our lives where we've volunteered or like taken on or offered to do like a challenging task or a challenging thing, to help out with the community. And like, it could potentially be something that's like, oh, really, like, we have kids and we're busy and all this stuff. But like, it's unbelievable, the reward that then came back by giving up of our time and of our resources, or like in our house or whatever, all thing. And I even have it here. So I have been reading, I'm just gonna snaggle it from you because I came prepared today. I'm going to move this away a little bit because it's like in the way. And I'll keep working on it in a minute, but I don't know. Will my camera track or follow? Doesn't matter. So I have been reading a little bit out of this Readings for Lent and Easter. It's called Bread and Wine. It's actually published by Plough Publishing House. So there's little chapters written by different people for all the weeks in Lent. And there's this one that kind of jumped out to me. It's surrender is everything. So we're just talking about surrender, like giving everything to Jesus. Like the woman pouring the perfume, giving of our hearts to Jesus. And then there's this chapter, it's like surrender is everything. It like jumped out at me. So I'm like, oh, I'll be reading that more carefully. And I really resonated with it. So it's by this guy called Jean-Pierre de Caussade. Did I say that right? He's definitely French. And he was a Jesuit priest in the late 18th century. There's everything. So here goes. Jean-Pierre Caussade said, and it's more like in a prayer form, but it's really beautiful. O heavenly purity, O blessed emptying, O unreserved submission, through you, God, is welcomed in the very center of our heart. It matters not what my abilities may be then, provided that I possess you, Lord. Do what you will with this insignificant creature, whether it be that I should work or become inspired, or be the recipient of your impressions, it is all the same. Everything is yours. Everything is from you and for you. I no longer have anything to be concerned about, anything to do. I have no hand in the arrangement of one single moment of my life. Everything belongs to you. I do not need to add or subtract anything, nor seek after or mull over anything. It's for you, Lord, to regulate everything. Direction, humiliations, sanctification, perfection, and salvation, all are your business, Lord. Mine is to be satisfied with your work and not to demand the choice of action or condition, but to leave everything to your good pleasure. And it's God's good pleasure to do things for his children, which is us, people who he loves. So it goes around. Anyway, I just found that really encouraging, and I sure hope that it's an encouragement to you. And there's so many different aspects of Easter and Lent and Jesus dying on the cross and sacrifice and resurrection, forgiveness, repentance, all that stuff. Like there's so much in Easter. Wishing you all joy and courage in these troubled times. God looks down and smiles at us, and I firmly believe that. So wishing you all a very happy Easter and a wonderful spring wherever you are in the world. All right. Bye for now. Well, hello there. Hey. Gonna wave at Mommy? Gonna wave? See the little hands go clip, clip, clap. I love you.